Not yet.
Oh, they're there?
It's about to. It's about to start. But sit still. Don't shake the table.
Now they're ready?
It's starting right now. So we just got to make sure every stream is working the way it's supposed to.
Is that your phone that's supposed to work?
Is that what?
Is that your phone that's supposed to work?
Yeah, this is a different phone. Here's a phone too. We got more than one phone.
More than one phone?
Yeah. So we just got to get them all working properly. Get everything working properly. Make sure everything's running, and then we'll be good to go.
Good.
That'll take a minute.
Is it done?
We're just getting started. It's not done. It's getting started.
Who is getting started?
Yeah, I gotta make sure everything's working. So that is working. Let's make sure this one's working.
And that was working.
Yes, that one is working. And we'll make sure. Oh, that was you talking.
Yeah.
I picked up your voice.
I see your voice. My voice kit?
Yeah, see, this is LinkedIn. This one place. Let's see if I can hear you in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's heard this. Now we mute that because we don't want that sound playing. We don't want that feedback of sound while I'm talking. So we're gonna get that one up. Now we go over here, and we get that.
And that was working.
Yes, that one looks like it's working. Can you see yourself? You see yourself here, here, and there.
Weird. And you see yourself there and there and there.
That's right. So we got 3 different cameras, but we're streaming to 7 different platforms. Good morning, everybody. Give me your locations as you are coming in, and give me your locations as you are coming in. We'll shout some people out. Stay still here. We'll shout some people out as we get started. Today we are going to be talking about the Charlie Kirk shooter has been appeared in court. It looks like not looks like, but he appeared via a video feed. So he didn't actually physically appear in court, but it looked like they had him in a straitjacket, like a non-self-harming mechanism, non-self-harming contraption they had him in. But as y'all are coming in, shout yourselves out. Tell me your locations in the comments. Can you say good morning to Rumble?
Good morning, Rumble.
Hey, Rumble. Say good morning to YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
And good morning to, we are allegedly, son, we are live on X, but we have to check. So look, I'm going to look over here on this right here. We're going to see if we're live on X. So you see that little red circle?
Yeah.
Yeah, it means I'm live on X. And see, can you see yourself right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so say good morning to X. Can you say good morning to X?
X. Hi.
Good morning, X. And we are live on Facebook. Good morning, Facebook.
Good morning, Facebook.
Facebook is Work on Your Game University. We are live on LinkedIn. Say good morning to LinkedIn.
Hi, LinkedIn.
And good morning to Instagram.
Hi, Instagram.
And good morning to TikTok.
Hi, TikTok.
Yes, so we are live on 7 different platforms right now. Everything looks to be working. Ryan Kennard checking in on YouTube. Good morning. YouTube, the streams we've been doing the last 3 days before today all got messed up because I had the genius idea to try to use YouTube Studio. I think the problem is using 2 studio apps at the same time is the problem. And what I've decided is we'll use Rumble Studio because Rumble Studio lets me stream to Rumble, YouTube, X, and LinkedIn at the same time with no issues, whereas YouTube Studio only lets me stream to YouTube. So for now, we're just going to mess with Rumble Studio. So we'll
mess with Rumble Studio?
That's right.
Mess with him?
Yeah, we're going to mess with Rumble Studio so we can get everything streamed and no issues when I'm using Rumble Studio for the most part. And my name on Rumble, YouTube, X, and LinkedIn is all the same, Dre All Day. On Instagram, it is at Dre Baldwin. On TikTok, it is Work on Your Game. Give me your locations in the comments, and we will get started in a moment. We'll get started in a moment. Just give me your locations in the comments. Let me get this.
Look, the daddy, the clay turned into purple.
Yeah, it did turn purple. You mixed some colors together. That's what it looks like you did. Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, you mixed some colors together. And that's how that happened. Carla, Indiana, good morning. Congrats on the first comment. Lacey River, good morning from Washington. I'm doing amazing. Thank you for asking. Vivian from Philly said you're such a great dad. Thank you. Blue KY Girl said, what a beautiful child. So Blue KY Girl said you're a beautiful child. How do you feel about that? No, stay here. Stay here. Don't leave. Happiness Now, checking in from New York. Hometown is ATL. Shout out to New York and ATL. Annie AFF from Kentucky. Good morning. Vivian said your son is precious and smart like his dad. Well, thank you. He's going to be smart because he's going to have the best teacher. Sunny, good morning. Vivian, good morning. Sunny, thank you for the follow early. My son has on white, so it's hard for me to read these comments here. I'm trying to see them. Laura, good morning from Oklahoma. Actually, let me just go over here this way so I can see real quick, so I can read a few of the comments and shout a few of you out, and then we'll continue. Laura from Oklahoma, traditional all day. Good morning. Sherry, thanks for the follow. Whitney from Wichita, Kansas. Sunny, New Jersey. Keith, thanks for the share. Grateful James, good morning. Ronaldo, I see what you did there. Ann, good morning. Ann Paro, good morning. Southwest Florida. Shout out to Naples. Shell, thanks for the follow. Sunny, thank you. User, good morning. Fayetteville, North Carolina. Courtney, good morning. Dog owner said, I lost my spot. I'm trying to shout a few of you out real quick. Dog owner said the books are backwards. That's okay. You're not here to look at the books. You're here to listen to me. I like it mirrored like this. I like this look. Kuya Binya shout out. Manson, North Carolina in the building. Good morning. Abe said, do you still hoop? No. Dog owner, thank you. Sunny says, so smart. Thank you. Phoenix, thank you for the follow. Demetra, thanks for the share. Phoenix checking in from Oregon. Vivian from Miami. Good morning. Oregon. Laura from Oklahoma. Tupelo Honey from Mississippi. Giga Dad, good morning. Billie Jean, good morning from Indiana. Alicia said, love your co-host. You're the co-host, son. You're the co-host this morning. China H checking in. Good morning. Kristen RG from Nebraska. Cindy from Texas. Don Johnson, Lima, Oklahoma. Shauna, congrats on the member level. Shauna checking in from Pennsylvania. Shout out to Pennsylvania. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Gwendolyn Willis from Oklahoma. Bree said, little man makes his appearance today. Yeah, every once in a while he makes a cameo. Phoenix, thank you. Simply Farm said, we the Haitians are listening. Shout out to the Haitians. There's a lot of Haitians in South Florida. Shout out to the Haitians in South Florida and everywhere else, wherever you're from. Marky Man checking in from Sacramento. Sheila said, Los Angeles, ain't life grand? Yes. Shout out to life. Shout out to Los Angeles. Let me shout out a few more people. I'm losing my spot here in the comments. Bravo. Good morning. Indiana Girl Affiliate. Magachick 702 checking in from Vegas. Shout out to the 702. Bree. Alicia, good morning from Michigan. Abe, been following since 2010 on YouTube. Shout out to everybody who's been following me on YouTube since 15 years back. That's everybody who knows me from the basketball days. Bourbon for President, good morning. Be careful with that. Don't let it get too far because I don't want that getting on my suit. So you have to keep it on this side. Okay, keep it over there. Bourbon for President, good morning. Indiana Girl, Indiana again. OG Kimmy said, what a cutie. Are you talking about him or me? Sweet Melissa, thank you for the follow. Indiana Girl, thanks for the follow. OG Kimmy, this is not a girl, it's a boy. Every once in a while when he was younger, maybe a year younger, people would sometimes confuse for a girl like half the time, but it hasn't happened recently. So you're the first person in the last like 6 months to guess that this is a girl, but this is not a girl. Elizabeth Webb checking in from Atlanta, Georgia. Wifey Tits, thanks for the gift. OG, thanks for the follow. Traditional, yes, thanks for letting me know. Tap the screen. Gemini Gypsy checking in from Fort Worth. Shout out to the DFW. Sherry checking in from Michigan. Simply Farms, Haiti is in the house. Barbara Kizup. Good morning. Checking in from Jersey. Swavian, Massachusetts in the morning. Jay from New Hampshire. A couple more, and then we're going to get started here, folks. I'm just trying to shout a few of you out who have come in. And I lost my spot again. Where was I? No, Massachusetts. Jay from New Hampshire. Mary from San Antonio. Carrie, go get him. Good morning, Indiana Girl. This is not a girl, this is a boy. Mr. Murphy them up from Bristol. Kayla Renee from Oklahoma. Blake, 1982. Thanks for the follow. DeWitt Cooper from Baltimore. Murphy the Mutt, Jay Hunt. Yes, the person's name is Blake. Blake 1982, checking in. And they follow, actually. Indiana Girl, him. Jay, thanks for the follow. Katie said...
Me?
Did I lose my spot again? No. So he's got the best curls. Yes, he does have great curls. My hair was never this curly. A.U. Hunter from Vegas. Nikki, and my hair was never curly, actually. Nikki A checking in. Thanks for the follow.
A.
Satine, yes. Nikki A. Satine from 2025. Bree from Colorado. Soy Latina from Wisconsin. Anna Miller from South Carolina. My name is Dre Baldwin. I'll introduce myself officially in a moment. Tupelo Honey, thanks for the follow. Checking in from Mississippi. Okay, be careful getting that stuff on me. I have a suit on. Can't get that stuff on my suit. DeWitt Cooper, Jennifer Schinderling, TTE, Doreen Goyala, Lucy, Nebraska. Okay, if I keep shouting everybody out, we'll never get to the content. Hey, okay. Crespo checking in from Dover, New Jersey. Did I not pin a comment over here on Instagram? I thought I did. All right, there we go. Now my comment is pinned on Instagram as it's supposed to be. Let me see if I can shout out Dover, New Jersey over on Instagram. Crespo, good morning. Dwayne Mitchell from Detroit. Elaine Angelucci said he is handsome. Thank you. So what we're talking about today here is Charlie Kirk. The charge happened. By the way, for those of you who don't know, I do these live streams 8 a.m. to about 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. We've been going overtime the last couple of days because this has been a big breaking news story. So today we're going to get back to the discipline. We will not go past 10 o'clock today. Now I'm going to try to get through the content by 9 o'clock, then get to the comments at 9. And as long as we need to go, we'll go. So Tyler James Robinson, that is the shooter, alleged shooter in this situation with Charlie Kirk. After his arrest, the past 72 hours, there's been plenty of updates. We've been talking about this stuff every day since Thursday. The shooting happened on Wednesday. We've been talking about this Thursday, Friday. We talked about it on Monday, talked about it yesterday, and here we are Wednesday. We're still talking about this. Now, he made his court appearance yesterday. He was appearing by video in an anti-suicide vest. The prosecutors laid out the formal charges. So his formal charges are aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice, 2 counts of witness tampering, and committing a violent offense in the presence of a child, because there were a bunch of minors at the event, and he did this violent thing, and the kids were around, and that's a charge in and of itself. So these charges can add up when you do stuff that had nothing to do with what he was doing. I said the charges can add up. This is the way the law works.
What's charge?
Charge is what happens if you go against the law or you're suspected of going against the law, and then authorities bring charges against you. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so now tomorrow you can explain it to everybody. Now the state, you. The state also filed notice that they will pursue the death penalty, citing aggravating factors, including premeditation. This was premeditated. There's a lot of evidence that shows he was thinking about this before it happened, and that makes it premeditated. Shout out to O.J. Simpson. Political motive, and the presence of children in the audience. So all of that factors into why they're going to pursue the death penalty. Prosecutors revealed detailed evidence. So, of course, you got the recovered rifle tied to Robinson because they have the DNA on the rifle and the towel and all that. So they match the DNA to him. So he is, it looks like, again, this is all, none of this has been completely proven in court yet. It's just a charge that he is the one who did the shooting, and they have his DNA on the weapon. Engraved bullet casings, where looking at the evidence that the roommate, I believe the roommate's name is Lance. I think I may have that in my notes. Twiggs. I know the last name is Twiggs. So the roommate Twiggs, that's the roommate who is a male who is now transitioning into living as a female, who the shooter, Tyler, is in a romantic relationship with, in case any of y'all didn't know that. So the shooter is in a romantic relationship with his roommate, which is not crazy. And then it kind of gets crazy depending on how you look at things. The roommate is a male also, but is a male becoming a female, in case any of y'all didn't know. So the whole concept of, oh, well, he comes from a conservative household. He's clearly MAGA because he's from Utah and he's white. And not so much. Looks like he's been turned to the left, and probably turned in other ways as well, which we're not going to get into just quite yet. Now, there were bullet casings with anti-fascist slogans and meme references, surveillance showing the rooftop position 200 yards from the stage, and a written note describing planning steps that the roommate was willing to share with authorities. The roommate should not have shared this stuff with authorities. And according to the notes, I heard Megyn Kelly talk about this yesterday and today on her morning update show, is that when the shooter did what he did, he reached out to his roommate slash lover, boyfriend, whatever you want to call this person. Let's just say roommate for now, and said to the roommate, "Hey, did you hear about what's happening on the news?" No, that was me. And the roommate is surprised, like, "Why'd you do that?" And they're talking. And what is noted is that the shooter, alleged shooter, told the roommate, "Look under the keyboard of my laptop, and there's a note under the keyboard." And roommate looked under the keyboard, and there was a note on there saying, I had a chance to go get Charlie Kirk, and I got him. So this is all planned out. That shows the premeditation. All right, that's evidence of premeditation. He was thinking about this, and doing something premeditated often leads to a stronger charge than if you did it and it was just kind of spur of the moment off the cuff. Why? Because this is the way the law is written. You talk to your favorite law professor or a judge about why that is, but that's what it is. So that's the premeditation. And there were several other things on it. And he also noted what he engraved on the bullet casings. So they can connect that note, being he wrote it at his home, to the actual cases they found on the scene, which means we're pretty sure that this is the guy who did it. So they got this guy, as I said a few days ago, what they call in the legal profession, dead to rights. That it's pretty clear he's the one who did it. The only chance he has right now is, again, begging for mercy from the court and hoping that he doesn't get the death penalty. Maybe he just gets life in incarceration. But they're going after the death penalty. And given the gravity of this and the person who got shot and where it happened and the way this has been going in the news, right now it ain't looking good for this guy to survive, i.e. to live after this trial is over, if it goes to trial. I don't know if he actually entered a plea yet. I don't think he did. So he was just being given the charges right now. So on top of all this, there are text messages between him and his roommate that I was just talking about after the attack that include what investigators are labeling as confessions, such as admitting to the family, because the weapon that Tyler, that's the shooter, alleged shooter, the weapon that he used was actually belonging to his grandfather. The weapon belonged to his grandfather. He had borrowed it from his grandfather, and he had left it on the scene somewhere just to not have it on his person. He's hiding in the woods, and he was planning on going back and grabbing it so he could bring it back, I guess give it back to his grandfather, that maybe they wouldn't be able to trace it. But he was hiding in the woods and waiting for one of the state trooper cars that were sitting around the woods. He was texting his roommate and letting him know, "I want to go grab the weapon, and then I'll get out of here. But I'm stuck right now because the police vehicle is still sitting there. I got to wait for the police vehicle to leave." So he was trying to wait out the cops or the vehicle that was sitting there so he could go grab the gun and leave. But he wasn't able to achieve that. And he was going to bring the weapon back to his grandfather. And he was lamenting in the text messages, "How am I going to explain to my grandfather that I don't have his weapon anymore that I borrowed from him?" And he was kind of just in the text, just kind of throwing that out there. Like, I got to explain to my grandfather I took his weapon, but now the weapon is gone. And what am I going to do about that? So this is another situation that he was going to have to figure out, that he had to get somehow, some way get that weapon back. But he ended up not being able to get it back because the authorities recovered the weapon. So this is all, again, in a text message exchange that the alleged shooter, Tyler, had with his roommate slash lover named Twigs. Last name is Twigs. And this is all stuff that the roommate slash shooter shared with authorities. And the roommate allowed authorities to take pictures of the letter that was under the keyboard and pictures of the text message exchange from Mr. Twigs' phone and all this stuff. And listen, I'm not on the side of anybody who would go and take the life of someone the way that Mr. Tyler allegedly did. But at the same time, we got to speak about this objectively. I said this yesterday or the day before, is that when the police approach you and start asking questions, don't start answering questions. No, you do not talk to police, in case any of you didn't know. I don't care if you did it or you didn't do it. If you are guilty or not guilty, you do not talk to police under these type of circumstances. Now, if the police come to you and they say, "Hey, is that your car? No, move your car. You're in the emergency lane." You can speak to the cop then. Okay, I'm not saying you don't ever have to say a word to a cop. If you're walking and you're lost in town and you say, "Hey, Mr. Officer, where's 12th Street?" You can talk to the cop in that case. But we're talking about something like this. You don't talk to police. So Mr. Tyler's roommate is an idiot because he talked to police. And he's also an idiot because in the text messages, in the thread between Tyler and his roommate, Tyler literally said to his roommate, "If the police approach you, don't say anything and ask for a lawyer." He literally told his roommate, if the cops approach you, be silent and ask for a lawyer. And his roommate literally did not listen to him. So I don't know what you want to make of that. His roommate's dumb because his roommate was told, don't talk to the cops. At least Tyler had some sense to tell his roommate, don't talk to the cops. And his roommate talked to the cops anyway. And this roommate has been cooperating fully. And again, this guy's is transitioning from male to female, this roommate, for whatever that's worth. And he made admissions to his family. So another thing that happened is when the photos came out of the authorities saying, hey, here's the person who did the shooting. This is the person we have as a suspect. If anybody can give us information on the suspect, that was on Wednesday. And then they found the guy by Friday morning. It was announced that they had found the guy, right? And the reason they were able to find the guy is because, number one, when the photos came out, the mom, and they live in Utah, so this is a big deal because this happened in Utah. The mom is looking at the news and sees the photo and says, that looks like my son. She reaches out to, and this is all said in text messages, and y'all can go read the details of these text messages. What came out in court yesterday is all public knowledge. She tells the dad, doesn't that look like our son? And the dad's like, yeah, it looks like our son. So they're reaching out to the son. They're calling their son. He's not answering the phone. He's texting his roommate during this whole thing, like, hey, my parents are calling me. I'm not answering. They're probably answering about, they're calling probably about this because they've seen me on the news. I don't know if he knew he was on the news, but my parents are calling, and he suspected that his parents were probably looking for him because maybe he knew that they had photos of him. I don't know if he knew. And one thing that Candace Owens said, if y'all haven't been listening to Candace's work, you should be, because she is doing good investigative journalism and is probably one of the most popular investigative journalists out there these days. Not the only, but one of the most popular. She talked about how what the authorities put out in court as far as the text messages that were shared between Tyler, the alleged shooter, and Twiggs, the roommate, they didn't put timestamps on the messages, which leaves a lot of questions. It gives some answers, but it also presents a lot of questions, because when did Tyler say, my parents are calling me? When did Tyler say, if the cops approach you, don't talk to the cops? Because why would Tyler even have any suspicion that the cops would be approaching his roommate? I mean, how would he know that the cops would know to go to his house? I mean, how do they even know it was him? They didn't find him yet because he's still texting his roommate. So that means at that point he was still free and hadn't been apprehended. Why would he be telling his roommate that they might call you? Nick over there on YouTube, I see you, from Australia. Why would he be doing this? And without the timeline of when the text messages actually got sent, then we have more questions than we have answers. And Candace Owens, being a good journalist, she noticed this and she pointed it out in her latest episode of her show, which you all should listen to. She does a great job of kind of breaking these things down in detail and asking the right questions. Whether we ever get that answer or not, I don't know. I would guess it might be a month or so before we get the answer or not, because this guy is going to appear in court again in about 12 days. I think it's the 29th of September. He's supposed to appear in court again. I don't know what's supposed to happen that day, but we'll see. So they didn't give the timeline of when these messages happened, because if they gave the timeline, then we would have a whole lot more information and understand, okay, he said this at this time. Maybe he heard about it from over here or over there. And he does have a phone. So being that he has a phone and he's sending text messages, I guess we can assume that he had a data plan on his phone. Maybe he's going on the internet and he's seeing, oh, the news is out that Charlie Kirk got shot. Then he's seeing photos are out of the person who did the shooting, and he sees himself in the photo. Maybe that's when he realized, okay, they have identified the shooter and I look like the shooter. So people might start looking around and they might figure out that it's me. They might go to my roommate. And that's why he told his roommate, if the cops approach you, here's what to do, i.e. do nothing. Don't say anything. Don't answer any questions. Ask for a lawyer. And his roommate did not follow instructions. His roommate should have followed instructions. Had his roommate followed instructions, we wouldn't be talking about what we're talking about right now, because we would not have this information. We have this information because the roommate started talking. Now, Crespo said Twiggs probably got scared. He probably did. Cops are pretty good at that, at using command presence and intimidation. Not that they actually did anything against the law, but just intimidating a person to talk who doesn't know any better, doesn't have the experience of not talking to a cop. So the roommate has been cooperating fully, at least up to the point of the information I just shared, giving more timeline details and providing access to notes that Robinson left behind, which is basically telling Robinson, basically putting Robinson in a very tight spot, as I explained already. Now, it is said, according to what I've heard from others, that Mr. Robinson, that's the alleged shooter, he did eventually get in touch with his parents, or his parents got in touch with him. One way or another, he's talking to his parents. He admitted to his parents that he did the shooting. And he was telling his parents, allegedly, this is all alleged, because we didn't hear it straight out of his mouth yet, or from his lawyer. He told his parents that he was thinking about taking his own life. After he did what he did to Charlie, he was thinking about taking his own life because he probably can read the writing on the wall. I'm going to get caught at some point. I'm going to go to jail. I'm either going to be in jail for the rest of my life or I might get the death penalty. I don't know if he thought in that much detail, but he was thinking maybe I'll just take my own life. I mean, what's the point at this point? Because his roommate was asking him, why did you do that? And he said, according to what we read, he said to his roommate that, and I'm paraphrasing, that Charlie Kirk was too much of a threat and saying negative stuff, and he had to go. I had to take him out. That's why he did it. His roommate, according to what we've seen, was not he was not a co-conspirator in this situation. He found out at the same time that everybody else found out that Tyler was the person, or he knew Tyler was the person before everybody else knew who Tyler was. Again, all this is alleged. All right, this has not been proven in court yet. He's only been arrested, and I believe he's been charged, but Candace was talking about that a little bit too. Y'all, again, go listen to Candace. She talked about this in a little bit different way than I'm talking about it. So officials also arrested a separate individual. If y'all were following when this happened on Wednesday of last week, Charlie Kirk got shot. And at first, people were reporting on social media that somebody's been arrested. And there was this old white guy. Did y'all see that video of that old white guy that had him on the ground on his knees and they were putting the cuffs on him? And the story was first coming out that that guy was the shooter. This old white man had shot Charlie Kirk. But turns out that guy was not the shooter. We now know that this guy, 22-year-old Tyler, he was the shooter. Now, who is this old white guy? And again, Candace was talking about this today. The old white guy is some dude who lives in Oregon who has actually been, the system is familiar with him. He's familiar with the system. He's been arrested over time for different petty things. And he was jumping up and down at the scene of the event saying, I shot Charlie Kirk. He was literally outing himself as the shooter. Problem is he was not the shooter. He didn't even have a gun on him. And he was claiming he's the shooter. So the cops grabbed him, accosted him, and they put him down. They put the cuffs on him. He goes to the hospital for some unnamed medical situation. And the cops say, let me see your phone. He had a phone. So the cops say, let me see your phone. He let them see his phone. And he says to the cops, when he gives them the phone, that, hey, there's some child images on here that are unseemly, if you get what I'm saying. Some unseemly of a sexual nature images on my phone that you're going to see if you look through my phone. So they looked on his phone and he was telling the truth. There were some child images of a sexual nature on his phone, and he's probably going to get charged with that just for having them. I think just having possession of that is a crime. So he's going to get charged with that. And he's also getting charged with obstruction of justice because by saying I'm the one who shot him when he actually wasn't the one who shot him, it's almost like you're providing a diversion to get the cops paying attention to you so that the person who actually did it can get away while everybody's looking at you. So that's obstruction of justice because you're getting in the way of the cops actually doing their job. So this random guy, they did say his name, but I didn't note his name. He is somehow, some way involved in this because he decided to involve himself, which makes no sense. If you're at an event, listening to somebody talk, and you see that person get shot, why would you jump up and down and start saying that you shot him knowing that you didn't shoot them? Why would you do that? Just to draw attention to yourself? You just want to get arrested? Are you like going to jail? I don't understand why he would do something like that. And what some are suspecting, we don't know, some are suspecting is that maybe this guy and Tyler and whomever else was involved, maybe this whole thing was a coordinated process. Allegedly. Okay, everything I'm saying here today is allegedly. Why? Because everything must be proven in court. Even if someone is caught dead to rights, as Tyler looks like he is, he still gets his day in court in the United States of America. I think all you're familiar with the term due process. All right, after Donald Trump and what's our man's name? Tom Homan and all the deportations and all that. Due process. Y'all familiar with that. Everybody gets their day in court. Tyler gets to go to court. This random old guy, he gets to go to court. And we'll see what ends up happening here. What gets proven, we don't know. So the next hearing is set for later this month, as I said. The state is preparing a capital trial. Defense lawyers are signaling they're going to challenge the motive, the digital evidence, and interpretations of the descriptions and the notes. That's what a lawyer is supposed to do. So Tyler's defense team, whomever they end up being, first of all, this is a career case for a defense attorney. So right now, I'll predict what's happening. This is not reporting, just prediction, just a theory. That Tyler's family, his mom and his dad, they have also I should note this, they have reported that their son has gone more. He was raised obviously conservative because the family is conservative. His family is on the right, Republicans, but he has become more leftist in his views, Tyler, the alleged shooter, over the past several years. And who knows why? Probably because he's at a college and he's dealing with other people and his roommate is a man becoming a woman. That probably has something to do with it. Maybe that's the result. Maybe that's the cause. Who knows? But he's been starting to lean more left, basically going against the grain of the way that he was raised. I think we can all see that now. So everybody who was on the internet saying, oh, well, look at that. The shooter was a white guy who was conservative from Utah and it wasn't a transgender. Well, now we got to look at it a little bit differently. Not as cut and dried as it looked. And also, for what is worth, the roommate, Twigs, the home that he and Tyler were living in actually belongs to Twigs' family. They were paying rent to his own family. Tyler paid rent to Twigs, and Twigs would take that rent and give it to his family because his family actually owned the house that they live in. I don't know if that matters for now. Maybe it will matter later. Maybe it won't. So the defense attorney who ends up getting this case, I meant to tell y'all, what I was supposed to be telling you is what's happening right now. There's a whole bunch of defense attorneys who see this as a great boon for their careers. It's not even so much that they're going to make a bunch of money doing this case for Tyler. That's not where the money's at. Where the money's at right now is that this is going to be a big, what do you want to call it, brand builder for a defense team that tries to defend Tyler in court. I don't think they're going to win, or at least the way it looks right now, they're not going to win. But we don't have all the information yet. We never have all the information this quickly. They're going to call Tyler's family, and they're basically going to be campaigning to be the chosen defense lawyers for this case. And right now, Tyler's family is probably fielding calls from defense attorneys the same way that a star basketball player like LeBron James had a whole bunch of agents calling his family when he was in high school about to go to the NBA. He gets to pick and choose which one he wants to represent him. He has that many suitors right now. Tyler probably has a few suitors for defense attorneys because they all see this as a way of that can build their brand, build their name. They can go and do a whole lot of things after this, even if they don't make a ton of money doing this case. Again, just a theory, not a report. Now, let me introduce myself for those who don't know me. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete, author of a few books, done a few TED Talks. I run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. What we do here is we help people with presence and command of the room through discipline, confidence, performance, all done through systems. You can learn more about that by going to the links in my profile. You can get into my texting community, which is free to join by texting the word live, L-I-V-E, like live stream. Text the word live, L-I-V-E, to my number, 305-384-6894. 305-384-6894. Send a text message to that number with the word live, L-I-V-E. You'll be in my texting community. I'll tell you more about that as we get to the end of this. Let's get into our material, more of the material. And I already touched on a bunch of this. Then we're going to get into the comments too. So prosecutors charged Tyler, and please get the likes up, folks. We have 56,000 likes. It's damn near 1,000 of you in the room. Let's see. 727 people in the room. We got 56,000 likes. Let's get the likes up, folks. We do 100K in likes every single day here. We should be doing 200K with this many people in here today. So please get the likes up.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
We are streaming on YouTube. I have more than one YouTube channel. So whoever left that comment that my YouTube isn't streaming, it is streaming. It's just I got more than one channel. So go to YouTube at Dre All Day. My YouTube channel that I'm streaming on right now is at Dre All Day. I have another channel that's not streaming, and I got another channel that's not streaming. Another one is not streaming. The one that is at Dre All Day. The link is in my profile. So make sure y'all get the likes up, please. We're at 62,000. Please keep the likes coming, those of you watching on TikTok. So prosecutors charged him with aggravated murder, multiple felonies, and they announced an intent to seek the death penalty. We already talked about that. They said the political motive. Now, because Charlie Kirk is somehow politically related, I guess that plays into why they're asking for the death penalty, which is an interesting way that the law works. And also premeditation, that he thought about it ahead of time. It's the same thing they did with O.J. Simpson. They wanted to charge O.J. and they were claiming that he premeditated this. He planned it out. He hated the fact that his estranged wife was with another man, and that's the reason why he did it. that premeditation was a big thing during that OJ trial back in the day, those of you old enough to remember, and because there were children in the audience, which I already told you. Now, the defense is expected to push back. They're going to question whether motive can be legally proven and whether the inscriptions or the references on the bullets count as political intent. Now, that's an interesting thing. Why does political intent matter? Does the person was political or they weren't political? That means you get a harsher sentence because they're a politician. I don't know. I don't know if that's what they're trying to argue. They're just basically trying to throw as much stuff as they can into it. It's kind of like you're building a fire. You throw as much stuff onto the fire as possible to get the fire going as big as you can. And this is also about optics and how it gets the public to look at the situation. All of that is part of the game when you're building a case as the prosecution. And the prosecution has more resources than the defense. That's why it's an uphill battle. And this is the reason why I continually tell you all, stay out of court. All right, stay out of court. You don't want to be in the court system, even if you're innocent, because you still have to prove your innocence. And it costs money to prove innocence. And the entity that you're going up against, which is the state or the federal authorities, they have more resources than you have. And they also can get the media on their side. So this becomes a big thing that you don't want to end up in court. So the defense is going to push back. They're going to question whether you can prove the motive, assuming that Tyler pleads not guilty. Right now, we don't know. Or even if he does plead guilty, actually, you can still try to question, is that his motive? Was that his reason? Assuming that he's not going to take the stand. I highly doubt he takes the stand. If he does, I guarantee you we'll do a 3-hour live stream the day after that happens. If he takes the stand, I don't think that's going to happen. And we don't even know if it's going to trial yet. No, so I'm getting ahead of myself. And these inscriptions on the bullet, on the shell casings, all of that, does that count as political intent? We don't know. So without a direct confession, the defense can argue about a whole bunch of things because they can just say the prosecution is stretching things to try to basically bury this guy under the jail. And they are right. If they don't get a direct confession, we don't know if that's going to happen yet. And the defense is going to do everything they're supposed to do, which is what a defense attorney is supposed to do. Your job is to defend your client, even if you think your client is guilty, even if your client tells you in private, yes, I did it. Yes, I'm guilty. Yeah, I wanted to kill Charlie Kirk. Even if your client tells you that, your job as an attorney is to defend your client and try to get the best possible outcome for your client. That's the job of being an attorney. And in case any of you is asking, no, I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TikTok. That's a joke. I'm not a lawyer. Now, physical evidence is strong. The rifle matched by the DNA, the rooftop location, the engraved shell casings, and the note that says, I wrote these things on the shell casing. I wrote stuff on the shell casings. And if you see the memes, then you know it's me, etc. It pretty much connects. Again, this is what we call dead to rights. We are pretty sure that this is the guy who did the shooting. As of right now, I think it's pretty simple for all of us to say that Tyler did do the shooting. Now, did he work on his own volition with no help? We don't know about that yet. Was he planning this for a week, a day? Did he just do it spur of the moment? Seems like he planned it ahead of time. It seems like with the evidence that we've seen so far. But again, there's always going to be more information to come out. We don't have it all yet. This is all we can go off of. So they're trying to say this was a premeditation. And if you premeditate killing somebody as opposed to killing them right there on the spot, that legally is usually used as a worse thing if you thought about it 3 days ago and then you planned it for 3 days rather than you just thought about it 30 seconds ago and then you just did it on the spot. If you did it on the spot, that's almost like a mitigating circumstance compared to premeditation. Because when you premeditate, that means you had time to think about doing something that you knew was wrong, you did it anyway. Whereas if you do it spur of the moment, you did something that was wrong, but you didn't have time to think about it. So I guess that makes it not as bad. I don't see it that way, but I don't write the laws. All right? If you want to write laws, ladies and gentlemen, you got to go run for Congress and you got to go join Jasmine Crockett and Adam Schiff and AOC and Bernie Sanders and all those folks, and you can go write the laws. But this is the way the law is written, is that if you premeditate, somehow, some way that's looked at as a worse situation. Why? I don't know. Now, the engraved casings and the meme-style notes are circumstantial. Yes, they are. They are circumstantial. And circumstantial just means, yes, these things are true, but what do they have to do with what you're trying to prove? That's what circumstantial evidence is. Yes, this is true. Yes, that's true. Yes, that's true as well. But none of these have anything to do with the actual charge that you're trying to bring against my client. And again, this is what the defense is going to say if this goes to trial. And even if Tyler pleads guilty, they're still going to make this argument because they're going to try to mitigate the sentence that he gets, whatever that sentence may be. Again, the state is going to try to get the death penalty against this guy. They've already shown their hand. That's what they're going to try to do. So if I'm a defense attorney, my one thing I'm aiming for is don't get the death penalty. If my client gets to live out the rest of his natural life, then that's a win for me because I was able to keep him from getting the death penalty, which means what? The next person who has a charge where the state or the feds are saying we're going to go after the death penalty, well, guess who they might think about calling? Might think about calling me because I saved the last person who they were trying to get the death penalty for. Maybe I could save the next person, and the next person I could charge them the full price. So this is part of the business deal. This is part of the game. If you're going to any game you're going to be in, you got to think long term. How could doing this right now, even if it costs me, help me in the long run and actually help me make more in the big picture of what I'm doing in my business? So this is just thinking like a business person. I understand the attorneys who might jump at this opportunity, and it should be a bunch of them right now. Now, written notes and messages point to planning and awareness of the act, that he was thinking about this and he knew Charlie Kirk was coming to town. Charlie Kirk does these events on college campuses and he announces he's going to be there and people plan to be at the event. Now, Charlie's probably done thousands of these events. He's been active for about almost 10 years in the game doing these events. And a lot of people were saying, well, why didn't they have more security at the venues? We talked about this a lot last week on Thursday and Friday. First of all, everybody remembers Donald Trump, Butler, PA last year. That was when the bullet whizzed by him and hit him in his ear or didn't hit him in his ear. And the blood from his ear, whatever. The attempt on his life, because that was a real bullet and it was shot from a real gun and people really did die that day. So that was not, some people try to say it was staged. Well, how do you stage the dead bodies? And the person who did the shooting, they got shot too. So that's a lot of sacrifice for a staged event. I don't think that was necessary. Anyway, people were saying, well, why didn't they have more security like they might have had for Trump? And even Trump's security wasn't that tight that day because how the hell that guy even get on the roof in the first place for a former president? That shouldn't have happened. Charlie Kirk is not even a politician. He's not an elected official. He is damn sure not a president, not nearly at that level. They don't have that type of security, everybody. Now, did Charlie Kirk have security? I'm pretty sure he had security, but there's levels to having security. There's security like maybe what Beyonce would have. There's security to maybe what your local city council person would have. There's security like the football coach of your favorite college has. You know, when they walk across the field to shake hands with each other and they got the state trooper standing next to them. Why they have that, I don't know. What the hell is going to happen to you on the football field? Nothing. But they got like 6 cops standing around them as if they're the damn president or the governor or some shit. Charlie Kirk had security, but that's security that he has to pay for out of his pocket. Donald Trump does not pay for his security. The Secret Service is paid for by us. We pay for Donald Trump's security and Joe Biden's security and Barack Obama's security. Charlie Kirk has to pay for his own security. And when you're doing an outdoor event, a lot of people do not understand this. Do you know how much security it takes to scope out every building that could possibly have access to wherever the stage is going to be? Every building. You need drones. You might need helicopters. You need people that can do something about anything they see on those building rooftops. Out of all the windows, you got to see who could be looking out a window. You got to case every single building. Let's say there's an 8-story building 200 yards away from where the person's going to be speaking, and there's windows on every floor. You got to clear that building. You got to have somebody watching every window in that building. You got to have snipers who can catch anybody who might open a window and do something. That takes a whole lot of security, and security costs money. That kind of financial investment is not really in the cards when you're running a private business, unless you happen to be Beyonce or something, Michael Jackson, Madonna, maybe somebody on that level. Charlie Kirk's not doing that. Now, some people have said in the future, somebody like Charlie Kirk or someone like him might want to put bulletproof glass in front of themselves when they're doing events like this. I understand that. The problem with that is if you put bulletproof glass, even though it's glass and glass can be seen right through, it changes the personal connection that somebody gets by you even having the event. If there's bulletproof glass in between me and you is not the same as if there's no glass. Because I can't touch you, I can't shake your hand. Even if you're talking right to me and I'm standing right here and you're right there, but there's glass in between us, it's like going to the check cashing place or the bank and there's bulletproof glass there. It's not the same kind of interaction. It's just not the same. It changes the nature of how things are going. I don't like that idea, but I understand. I mean, Charlie Kirk has passed now, but let's say the next person who does it. I was listening to Megyn Kelly's episode from maybe 2 days ago, and she was saying, because she was going on this tour, and she doesn't do a lot of touring, and she says she's actually, despite the fact that she's a public figure, out off the mic, she says she's a very private person. So she doesn't do a whole lot of public appearances, not unless it's business related. And what she was saying was that there's no way that she's canceling her tour. She's still going on tour. Of course, she's going to have crazy security. I think most of her events are going to be indoors, and it's already September. So most of the places she's going to travel to it's not fit to do an outdoor event anyway, unless she's in like South Florida. So I'm assuming she's going to be indoors. It's much easier to secure an indoor venue than it is to secure an outdoor venue, because on an outdoor venue, you have to factor in everything that's outside. Whereas at an indoor venue, you can secure an indoor venue. You can clear the building. You kick everybody out. And you can only let people in who have gone through metal detectors, been patted down, etc. So it's much easier to secure indoor venues. I think Charlie, one of the reasons that he did outdoor venues, and people on the right often do outdoor venues, and a lot of people don't consider this, is that when you do an indoor venue, you have a limited amount of seats. And therefore, because you have a limited amount of seats, you have to sell or give away tickets. And when you sell or give away tickets, and you're Charlie Kirk, a bunch of people who don't like you may sign up for the tickets or buy the tickets, and then they don't show up, or they show up and just protest you, so you can't even get to talk to your fans because the people who hate you, they just bought all the tickets. So there's all of these factors that you have to factor in when you're doing events like this, especially if you're somebody who is on the right, heavily on the right, like Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, and Megyn Kelly has moved herself to the right. And all these things have to be factored in. Let's just say that. So the security issue sounds good. Sounds like a good idea. He should have more security, but a lot of people really don't understand how much security that takes and how much that security costs. So prosecutors say that Robinson left instructions and outlined exactly what he was going to do, which allegedly it looks like he did. Now, if that's going to hold up in court, that's a different story. Now, relying on notes and digital traces risks misinterpretation, because the lawyer could say, well, he didn't write that. The lawyer could say, well, that's not his letter. There's a whole lot of ways that you can argue this. And remember, in the court of law, you are innocent until proven guilty. So if Tyler goes up there and says innocent, the state still has to prove that he did this. And they got him dead to rights. They'll be able to prove it. But can they prove all the other things? Can they prove premeditation? Can they prove that he was planning this? Can they prove that he was trying to send a political message? Can they prove why he did it? Now, all those things are going to be very difficult to prove without his cooperation. And if he pleads not guilty, he's not going to cooperate. He's not going to take the stand. So how are they going to prove all these things? And the reason why proving all these things matter is because these all will factor into whether or not they're able to get the death penalty. And that's what they said they're going after. They already showed their hand. They're going after the death penalty. They're trying to get him put in jail. Then they got him dead to rights. He's going to go to jail. He's going to go to not even jail, prison. And he's going to be in prison for a long time. But can they get him the death penalty, which is a higher thing than getting him a prison sentence, They got to prove all these other things, and a good lawyer is going to fight back against these. Now, how it ends up working, it depends on the case the prosecution makes. If the prosecution is any good, it depends on how good the defense attorney is. Those of you who remember the OJ trial. One of the reasons that OJ got off is because the prosecution fumbled that case in many different ways. One is that the prosecutors, just to be frank, they just weren't that good at arguing their case. Prosecutors are lawyers too. They just weren't that good at arguing their case. Number two is that when that racist cop, and I don't even like throwing the word racist out too often, but that racist cop, Mark Furman, I remember the OJ case, he had a history of racism. So then when he was the guy who allegedly was the star cop in the case, that was a mitigating factor that hurt the prosecution. Even if he had been telling the truth, it looked bad. The optics of it looked bad because here's this white cop with a history of racist behavior on the police force towards black people. And now he's the one who's going to bring down the star black person. Just bad optics for them. And number three, LA already had a history of bad race relations for black people when it came to dealing with authorities. All three of those put together, combined with the fact that O.J. Simpson had the best lawyers that money can buy. Alan Dershowitz, Johnny Cochran, Rob Kardashian, F. Lee Bailey. These are the best attorneys you could possibly buy. All of that put together is how O.J. got off. And let's be clear, he needed all of those together to get off. Had he been missing even one of those, he would have went to jail. OJ would have died in jail had he not had all four of those factors working for him at the exact same damn time. Anyway, Mr. Robinson, he doesn't have any of those factors. He ain't black. All right. This is not a black on white thing. There is no history of racial tension between white people and cops in Utah. And he ain't got Johnny Cochran. So Tyler got some problems. Okay. Just a long story short. Tyler, you got some problems. All right. If OJ was alive, I'd tell you to call him. But you got some problems. Now, the roommate's cooperation gives prosecutors firsthand information about My son just came running in here as if he is running from the cops. You running from the cops? Are you running from the cops?
No, not a cop. Mommy.
Oh, you're running from mommy. Okay. Might as well be cops. Okay. Same thing. So the roommate's cooperation gives prosecutors firsthand information about Robinson's planning and state of mind. And the context is this testimony is valuable since Robinson himself is refusing to cooperate, assuming the roommate cooperates. We don't know yet. Is the roommate going to take the stand? This will be if the roommate takes a stand, guarantee you we'll be here live talking about that the very next day. If the roommate takes a stand, that'll be very interesting because if he took the stand, he's going to be taking the stand cooperating against his roommate / friend / lover. What do y'all think? Given what we know right now, it's very early right now, folks. We don't know yet. But given what we know right now, give me a yes or no. You think the roommate's going to take the stand? Do you think Twiggs is going to take the stand in this case if it goes to trial against the alleged shooter, Tyler? I don't think he's taking the stand. I don't think he's going to take the stand. Why would he? Because first of all, he has nothing to gain. Mind you, he's not named in this case. He's not named as a co-defendant, so it's not like he had anything to do with it. He's not charged with helping plan it or anything like that. According to the text messages, he had no idea this was going to happen. He was blindsided when his roommate / lover texted him and said, "I did it." He was surprised. And he's cooperating with the cops, which generally that shows he probably doesn't have anything to hide. If he had something to hide, he probably would have said, "I'm not talking to you, give me a lawyer." I'm not saying that's always the case. Again, smart people would say, "I'm not talking to you, give me a lawyer," even if you're innocent. But he started cooperating, which means he probably knew nothing about this. He was blindsided by the situation. That's his lover and roommate. I don't know if they'll be able to sleep together ever again, but why would you testify if you have nothing to gain? It'd be one thing if he was a co-conspirator, because now they could say, well, we'll shave some time off of your sentence if you cooperate with him, or we'll go easier on you if you cooperate with us against him, kind of like the Michael Vick situation. Remember, he went to jail for the dog thing? The people who testified against him were his friends. They were the ones who were running the dog ring. He was just putting the money up. And they testified against him so that they could get a lesser charge because the big fish that they all wanted to get, the prosecution, they wanted to get Mike Vick. They got Mike Vick by getting his friends to testify against him, which is what happens a lot of times in these type of court cases. So I don't think Twiggs is going to take the stand because he has nothing to gain. And if he does take the stand, it would only be in a way that he's going to try to mitigate the charge against his lover / roommate. That would only be, I'm guessing, if Tyler pleads not guilty. Even then, I don't see it happening. But I believe he's going to be called to take the stand because the prosecution is going to call him. That's the problem that Twiggs has. He's going to get called by the prosecution. If it goes to trial, he's going to get called by the prosecution because he already talked. That's his problem. The problem that Twiggs has is that those text messages are known about only because Twiggs shared the text messages. I don't know if they went through Tyler's phone. Twiggs shared the text messages. He shared the note that Tyler wrote and put under his keyboard, and he's been talking to the cops. Now, as soon as you talk to him, anything you say can and will be used against you. Now they're going to compel you to come to court under subpoena, and now you got to testify on behalf of the prosecution, if not on behalf of the defense, because of the fact that you already let people know that you know something about this. Now he has no choice. So he kind of put himself in a bad spot here. And someone said, did Robinson confess? Technically, he did not confess. The way it's been worded is that he admitted to it, but he didn't technically confess. Legally speaking, he has not confessed to authorities. I did it. Not yet, at least as of what I've heard. So the testimony of Twiggs, the roommate, would be valuable since Robinson is refusing to cooperate if several things got to happen. First of all, this has to go to trial. Secondly, who is he going to testify on behalf of, the defense or behalf of the prosecution? Prosecution wants to talk to him either way. And he's going to get grilled on the stand by one side or the other. Actually, by the prosecution, he's getting grilled either way. Now, they might grill him less if he's helping them, and they're going to grill him more if he's on the defense side. But either way, he's going to court. So Twiggs, go buy yourself a suit. You are going to court. Now, authorities arrested a separate man. Again, this person who said that they did it, that man at the man at the scene. And allegedly, another man claimed online that he did it, and they got arrested for basically trying to obstruct justice by trying to throw a red herring at the cops and send them over here when the actual issue's over there. Now, social media is we already know, sometimes distorting facts, taking facts out of context, people drawing conclusions about motive, ideology, responsibility before the trial happened. This is what human beings do. It doesn't make people bad. Everybody does it. We're all talking about it right here. We don't have all the information yet, but we're talking about it anyway. Premature framing can poison public perception and make a fair trial harder to come by. Is this true? Of course it's true. I mean, do y'all remember George Floyd in 2020? And that case of the officer, all four officers, but most specifically, Officer Derek Chauvin. That was the white guy with the knee on George Floyd. Whether it was his shoulder blade, his neck, his back, whatever you want to call it. That white guy, Derek Chauvin, public perception put him in a position where I said, this is looking bad for him as soon as I saw the video. When I saw the video, I said, I know this is not the whole video. Obviously, this video is taken out of context. But first of all, the whole video has to come out before I know exactly what happened and I can draw a real conclusion. But despite that, this video going viral, I'm talking about the George Floyd thing. This video going viral is terrible for this white cop because he's done no matter what. He's looking really, really bad no matter what happens here. If he gets exonerated, he's going to have to go into the witness protection program. And if he gets convicted, he's going to go to jail for a long time, which is exactly what happened. Did he go to jail for a long time because he actually did something wrong? Well, according to the court, he did do something wrong. But the reason he went to jail for, I think he got a 23-year sentence. The reason Derek Chauvin got a 23-year sentence is because what happened looked bad. Public perception is why he's in jail for 23 years. That's why he got that much time. The framing of it poisoned public perception. A white cop kneeling on the neck, back, shoulder of a black man who is claiming that he can't breathe. And then we find out the black guy's dead. And it's the cops versus a black person. Again, this is like the OJ situation framed in a certain way all over again. I said, this looks bad for this white cop. Even if he didn't do anything wrong, he's in trouble. Why? Because optics matter, folks. Even in the court system. The court system is supposed to be blind justice. Justice is not blind. First of all, justice needs to be paid. You got to have money to get justice, first of all. And secondly, how the public feels about a situation. If it's a public news story, i.e. O.J. Simpson, part of O.J. getting off was the fact that the public said, y'all can't put another black man in jail in L.A. at this time after all the problems L.A. has had with black people. And now it's a black guy allegedly killed a white person. And now you're going to try to railroad this guy. And you got this racist white cop and this white prosecutor. And then you also had a black man on the prosecution team, Chris Darden, and Marshall Clark was the other one. And y'all going to try to railroad this black guy, even if OJ was dead to rights. And there's a bunch of people listening to this right now who, to your dying day, you will believe OJ did it. How many of you think OJ did it? Give me a yes or no, OJ did it. Give me a yes if you think he did it. Give me a no if you think he didn't do it. All right, this is 30 years ago. Did OJ do it? Yes or no? No. So I'm getting some of those. I'm getting a whole lot of yeses. Did OJ do it? A lot of people believe OJ did it. It's like a running joke amongst everybody. Did OJ do it? All right, OJ, I don't know if he did it. I'm not even gonna get into it. I'm not gonna offer an opinion. But optically, OJ getting off was it was a karmic retribution that had to be paid to black people in America in the mid-90s. That's just the reality of the situation. That's the reality of the situation. You may not like it. OJ's passed away himself now, but that was the temperature in the mid-90s that the country of the United States of America, through the Los Angeles court system, California court system, they had to pay back black people for how things looked bad in LA, especially in LA, especially in big cities, especially between white cops and black people. They had to pay black people back. All right, so black people, I've been talking about reparations. All right, that OJ outcome was reparations. I'm not even saying OJ was guilty or innocent. What I'm saying is that outcome needed to happen. It needed to happen because of the optics. The point that I'm making here is about optics of public perception. And the optics of public perception still matter in the courtroom. And again, I'm giving you examples. Derek Chauvin, that cop from the George Floyd thing, getting 23 years was public perception payback. O.J. Simpson getting off and 30 years ago was public perception payback. Yes, for Rodney King. What happened with Rodney King, all of you remember Rodney King. That was a couple of years before O.J. Rodney King's in handcuffs, getting his ass whipped by a bunch of cops in handcuffs. All right, George Floyd was in handcuffs. Again, that's why there was so many parallels between the George Floyd thing and what was happening in LA at that time. He's in handcuffs. Now, George Floyd's not getting his ass beat, but he's saying I can't breathe and the cop's still kneeling on him. It just looks bad. See, the details don't matter. The facts don't matter. The facts of was he kneeling on his neck, on his back? Was it in the police manual? Was it not in the police manual? All that stuff got argued in court. But does it really matter? In the big picture, did that matter? Not really. All that matters is how it looked. It looked bad. And that's why Derek Chauvin is in prison right now, because it looked bad. And the reason OJ got off, because it looked bad. What happened to Rodney King looked bad. And it looked like the city of LA and the police in general by proxy didn't give a damn about black men. So after what happened with Rodney King, and those cops got off, the cops who beat Rodney King's ass got found not guilty, which is crazy because on video, they're just beating his ass. He got handcuffs on. What's your excuse for beating his ass? There is no excuse. They got off. People went crazy when that happened. Then OJ happens a couple of years later. Okay, this is the payback. OJ got to walk, even if he did it. Now, logically, factually, does that make any sense? If he did it, does it make sense that he walks as payback for Rodney King? No. But who said anything about things making sense? All right, this is how public perception works, folks. This is how optics work. You mess up the optics, now you got to pay that back. All right, somehow, some way, they got to be paid back. So this is where we're at, everybody. Let's get into the comments. We got 50 minutes here to get through the comments. I'm going to forego a bathroom break. Hopefully, this ends up being a good idea. And let's get to it. Let me see what we got in the comments. Anything I got to respond to over here. I'm going to check out Instagram first, and I'm going to hop over to TikTok. Most of the comments are on TikTok, so I'm going to get to y'all on TikTok in a second. And actually, come second thought, I might need to take a bathroom break. Might be a smart idea for me to take a bathroom break. I drink a lot of water. So Ann said, not to mention, he put his salary back into the company. Extra spending for security isn't something he would spend on when he wants everything donated to go to the right thing. And 4317, that's correct. So TPUSA wasn't a 501c3? Anybody can confirm that? I think TPUSA is a nonprofit. I don't think it's a for-profit business. I think it's a 501c3, but somebody can tell me. Diane said, I think if you take the time to write messages on bullets, it's premeditated. Well, yes, that's what they're going to argue. And people saying, yes, it was. Yeah, it was a nonprofit. That's what I thought. So you're in a nonprofit. It's not like Charlie Kirk was doing this as like an LLC to get rich. He was doing it as a way of giving back. Doesn't mean he didn't make any money, but it's a different motive when you're running that 501c3. So they don't have money to just be spending on extra security all the time. And mind you, again, Charlie Kirk had done probably 1,000 of those events. And this is the first one where something like that happened. I think he even been shot at, let alone shot and hit. So I understand why the situation was what it was. Captured by Nikki. Good morning. You said yes. I think OJ did it. And says shows how flawed our system is because no one should get let off for a book thrown at them because the current state of things should be actually guilty or not. Well, and I agree with you. And what you're talking is complete logic. And is that things should happen basically straight up logically in blind justice. I mean, if you look at the Lady of Justice, that little symbol of the legal system, you got the woman holding the scales and she has a blindfold on. Justice is supposed to be blind. Justice is not blind, folks. And I gave you a couple examples. There are many others that we don't all know about. But that O.J. Simpson situation, that was not blind justice. That was very visible justice. That was retribution for what happened at Rodney King. They had to let O.J. off. What happened with Derek Chauvin was retribution for what people had been conditioned to believe about black people and dealing with white people in America, on top of the fact that Donald Trump was the president and everybody's calling Donald Trump racist. And that happened. They had to let Derek Chauvin go to prison for 23 years because of that. The situation happening in Texas when they have that court case between the two high school kids where the one kid stabbed the other kid, black kid stabbed the white kid. Right now, given the current temperature, I think it's not looking too good for the black kid, the kid who did the stabbing. I don't think it's looking good for him. Right now, the temperature is not good for him getting off for that charge. Had that happened in 2017, it'd be a different story. But since it happened in 2025, is this story. Public perception plays a role in what happens in court. It should not play a role in what happens in court, but it does play a role in what happens in court. That's why I keep telling you all, I said this 10 minutes ago, stay out of court. All right, don't end up in a court case. First of all, it costs you too much money. Secondly, you're putting your fate in the hands of a jury or a judge. You don't want to be in that situation. Third, if public perception is against you, you may end up losing even though you are innocent. Yeah, and the Carmelo and Metcalf, it's Carmelo with a K. We don't want to mix him with Carmelo, the basketball player. And his family named him Carmelo. I guess they named him after Carmelo Anthony, the basketball player, because Carmelo Anthony been out since like 2002. that kid is like 17, 18. So they had to know who Carmelo was. So I guess their dad's a basketball fan. He named him after Carmelo with a K. But too bad for Carmelo, the basketball player, because now his name is connected to this kid who might be going to jail for stabbing somebody. Different story for a different day. Let me take a restroom break. I thought I could not get away with it, not taking a restroom break, but my body is telling me I should take a restroom break. Give me 90 seconds, folks. We're going to get to the comments on TikTok as soon as I get back. Talk amongst yourselves.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Any of you have an inventor's bone in your body? Somebody needs to create some type of contraption or device where a live streamer can relieve themselves without having to go to the bathroom in the middle of the live stream. Any of you is an inventor, you know, you got the, I don't even know what to call that, but somebody can create that. I might be a customer. Yeah, I know the catheter, but I'm thinking of something a little bit more, a little bit cleaner, something like that, where you can relieve yourself and just keep going. Like Uber drivers, they just piss in the bottle. I might as well just go to the bathroom. That's all I got. But somebody could come up with something for live streamers. I think that'd be useful. Now, I just drink a lot of water. So I remember watching Kevin Samuel's live streams. Well, I didn't watch his live streams. I watched the replays of his lives. And I never saw him get up and go to the restroom because he was drinking fucking Red Bull. I don't think that makes you need to go to the bathroom. But I drink water and I work out first thing in the morning. So I've already gotten this is my 6 liter of water of the day already. So I got a little bit different situation. A diaper, I'm not wearing a diaper. No, my son doesn't even wear a diaper. My son was potty trained at 18 months. So no diapers around here. So that's the situation. So let's see what we got. So a bunch of you think OJ did it. I see a whole bunch of yeses. Everybody thinks OJ did it. Well, I guess he got away with it, but he's dead now. So I don't know. Reeves DFS, thanks for the follow. Me, myself, and I, thanks for the follow. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of yeses on OJ. Now, some saying he paid to have it done. That some people were trying to say that the Goldman guy, Ron, he had some issues with some stuff he was doing, some nefarious stuff he was doing in the streets, and that's why it happened. But everybody else says, or they say, yeah, OJ's son or his stepson has something to do with it. Jacob said even OJ thinks he did it. Now, one crazy thing about O.J. Simpson, he wrote a book, said, if I did it, here's how I would have done it. I said, the audacity of this man. The audacity of O.J. to write that book. If I did it, here's how I would have done it. That was a completely crazy thing for him to do. But a lot of people don't know why he wrote that book. He wrote that book because he won the criminal trial, but then he lost the civil trial. So the civil case he lost. And he had a judgment against him, and he owed like millions of dollars to the Goldman family. But then he didn't have the money to pay them. So he went and wrote a book. And then all the proceeds from the book went to the family of Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson. So he wrote the book as a way of like starting to pay them back. I'm going to write the book. And he titled the book, If I Did It, Here's How I Would Have Done It. Which is kind of like a slap in the face to them. And I think that's why he did it. And then they got the rights to the book. They own the publishing rights to the book. And I believe to this day, they changed the title of the book. The family, since they have control of the book, they changed the title of the book to I Did It. I believe that's what it's called. I think I saw this years ago. Yeah, so it used to be called If I Did It, Here's How I Would Have Done It. Right? That was what it was called. Now, the Goldman family owns the publishing rights to this book. And you can see it right here on Amazon. The book is literally called I Did It because they took control of the book. They own the publishing rights to the book, so they just changed the title to I Did It. And you can see right here, if you look on If you look this up on Amazon, you see the publisher of the book literally says the Goldman family. That's the man who was dating OJ's estranged wife when the murder happened. They own the rights to the book, and it actually has 4.2 rating on Amazon after 3,000 ratings. I did it. It's a New York Times bestseller with over 325,000 copies sold of this book. And they titled it, so this is the Ron Goldman Foundation for Justice authorized version. So this is basically they rewrote the book. Brand new introduction. And the whole introduction is written by the Goldman family. So they went and rewrote the book and took whatever OJ said, they changed it to what they say as to why OJ is guilty. And they say it's a quick read that provides a revealing look into OJ Simpson's mind. The writing quality receives mixed reviews, with some finding it well written, others describe it as written by a delusional egomaniac. The story quality and value for money also draw mixed reactions. Some considering it worth the price, others think is a waste of money, of course. The confession aspect and suspenseful content receive mixed reactions, some finding it compelling, others describe it as disturbing. So it's very interesting. And they've changed the covers over times. And yeah, this was a whole crazy situation that OJ Simpson did seem kind of deranged. OJ Simpson seemed like kind of a crazy guy. OJ, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy you want to be the estranged man of. That's the way it looked to me. We'll leave it at that. Further, Faru the Guru said you should offer one since we did. What are you talking about? Susie, thanks for the follow. Gigi said I was only like 13 or 14, so I'm not so sure. I know most people thought he did. Yeah, I was around that age too. But, I mean, you know enough about it. Do you think he did it or not? I think, given what we saw, there was a documentary about OJ. There were several of them, but there was one on Netflix. There was an OJ documentary, not the acting one, not the acting like drama series, but the documentary about OJ. After looking at all of that, I don't know. OJ. I don't know. I think it's good you had good lawyers. We'll just leave it at that. Taylor said, I think he knew about it. I don't think he did it. Well, if he didn't do it, somebody did a great job of framing his ass. That was expert, whoever that was, because they never got caught, right? Karen said OJ ended up in jail anyways. Yeah, because he was going after his. And see, the thing he ended up going to jail for, he actually was justified, which is funny. So he ends up not going to jail for something that looked like he did. And then he ends up going to jail for something he was justified for doing, which is somebody owned some of his memorabilia. He wanted his shit back, and he went and got some tough guys, some goons, and he ran up in somebody's hotel room to beat him up and get his stuff. And he went to jail for that. Now, he actually had a right to do that, as far as I'm concerned. And Ferry said, we need to let us know your opinion of OJ. I just told you. He had F. Lee Bailey. He had Rob Kardashian. He had Robert Shapiro. And he had Alan Dershowitz. And he had Johnny Cochran. This dude had the best lawyers in the world on his team. That's my opinion. Keep a number on a high-priced lawyer as foul ways nowadays. Everybody saw you. Lori MC said, I think his son did it. He covered for his son. His son was known to have beef against Nicole. I don't know. His son got away with that. That's crazy. Jay Rocket said reparations from Rodney King. That's what it was. Yes, that was Rodney King reparations. The OJ outcome was reparations for Rodney King. So any of you who doesn't like the fact that OJ got off, well, you got to balance that out against what happened with the Rodney King cops who beat his ass and got found not guilty, which was crazy. Now that one was crazy. Lester Rooney, thanks for the share. User said Utah is primarily Mormon and conservative. Jury selection is going to be difficult for the defense. Yeah, same way it was difficult for the George Floyd trial for Derek Chauvin. One badass says, so public perception is that women are disposable, and that's why you're saying by OJ got off. One badass Navy widow. Is that really what you came? That's the conclusion that you came to from what I said?
Strawberry cheesecake.
So one badass Navy widow, you get the Straw Man Award of the day, and that is the sound you hear.
Strawberry cheesecake.
When someone comes with a straw man argument, they have basically taken my argument and repackaged it into something that I didn't say, and then they present it in the form of a question or an incredulous statement or some form of ridicule or an accusation, and that's what you just did there. And the user used so. Public perception is that women are disposable, which is I did not say that. And that's why you're saying by OJ getting off. I said OJ got off because of the optics publicly of white cops versus black Americans. I didn't say anything about women and the disposability of women. So where you got that from? I have no idea. I'm gonna talk to your therapist about that. Doxy's rule said they shrunk that glove, and he probably took lots of salt to fluid his hands. He might have. Would have been a smart thing for them to do. Johnny Cochran. Fast Cheetah said he dead wrong about that cop, Derek C. It was bad optics because it was wrong. Okay. Well, I mean, that's a circular reasoning is what you just did there. It's wrong because it was wrong. Okay.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Rory says the son didn't like Nicole at all. Yeah, so somebody else said that. Ashley Mack said, was in an elevator with Kato Kalin a few years ago at a meeting. Interesting convo. I remember Kato Kalin. He was living in the guest house with O.J. Simpson. Fancy Prancy said, that's unfortunately true as perception accounts. Yes. Perception is huge in everything in life, not just court. Slade Luke Jaden, thank you for the love you so much gift. One Badass Navy says, in actuality, they don't give a shit about women in LA is what you're saying, right? That's what it... And you didn't finish the rest of your statement, but that's already another straw man. One Badass Navy, you're just compounding your straw man accumulation here.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Carmi says, what about the black officers who beat to death a black guy in Memphis? Didn't they? I think they got convicted, didn't they? I remember that situation, but I think they got convicted. And that was a black on black thing, so it wasn't as big of a story. It was a story for about a week or two, but not as big as if it's black on white or white on black. It's never going to be as big. Fancy Prancy said, reality is secondary. Pretty much. Connie Moore said, the Rodney King attack was horrific. It ruined his life. Well, it made him famous, if nothing else. I agree with you, though. Potridge says, how can they select a jury that is fair? Well, you're asking an oxymoronic question. How can they select a jury that's no such thing as a fair jury? What you want is an impartial jury, but jurors are human beings, and no human being is completely fair. So what you want to try to do is just influence them as best you can. Sheriff Stevenson said the black officer got off. You're talking about the Memphis case? But it was like 4 of them. It was like 4 or 5 cops. Did they all get off? I don't even remember what the outcome was. I think I remember the outcome getting announced, but I don't remember what it actually was. Let me see if I can find out since somebody brought it up. What was the outcome of the case where the 4 or 5 cops in Memphis chased down and beat a black suspect who ended up passing? Question mark. What was the outcome of the case? I thought a couple of them got some jail time, like a little bit of jail time. There might not have been a ton of jail time, but I thought they got some. So the guy's name was Tyree Nichols. He was 29 years old. This happened in January of 2003. Doesn't seem like 2023, excuse me. Doesn't seem like it was that long ago. Yeah, 2023.
Let me recalculate. If he was 29 in January 2003, he'd be 51 now. Thanks for catching that.
For some reason, Grok is listening to what I'm saying. I didn't even have the speaking button on. So this was 5 officers involved. It was 5 officers. So in October of last year, all 5 got convicted of witness tampering and related charges, covering up the beating because they covered it up and they falsified reports. They didn't disclose the full extent of the force they used. So that's one thing they got convicted of. They carried sentences of up to 20 years, but the same jury acquitted them of the most serious charges, deprivation of rights under color of law, which could have been life sentences, and excessive force. They got acquitted of all that stuff. So 2 of the cops agreed to 15-year sentences. The other 3 were set for sentences in June of this year, but following a successful defense appeal claiming judicial bias that the judge believed one of the officers was in a gang, a new trial was ordered in August of this year for those witness tampering convictions. So no new sentencing has occurred yet. So that's where they are right now. And in May of last year, the 3 officers who did go to trial were acquitted of all charges: second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, official misconduct, and official oppression. The trial only lasted 9 days, and they shifted everything to Nichols' alleged resistance and shifting blame to the other 2 officers. So basically, they turned on the other 2 cops. Now, the acquittals were widely criticized as a miscarriage of justice by, of course, Ben Crump, ambulance chasing black cop. And Nichols' family filed a $550 million lawsuit and that's scheduled for trial in 2026. They filed that against the city of Memphis. So the officers avoided murder convictions and the harshest penalties. They face ongoing federal proceedings. So right now, all of them have a chance to walk as of right now. So, Cheryl, I guess you're right. The cops got off. Robin Box said, pretty sure you're correct. Thank you. Prancy said he was very influential, more than most people knew. Who are you talking about? OJ? You're talking about OJ, and yes, at that time, yes, he was. Carmi said, what about the black officers? Or I just responded to that one. J. Rocker said, everyone blaming left. Kirk was fined for 2 Obama terms and 1 Biden. Whose term was he shot under? Well, J. Rocker, that's a non sequitur.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I see what you're trying to do there, but no, that's not right. It's not about who a president is when something bad happens. That's what people try to point to politically, but what does that have to do with anything? If Obama's the president and something bad happens to a black person, does that put it on Obama? No. Are there black people who got shot during Obama's term? Does that mean it's because of Obama? Absolutely not. What happened to Charlie Kirk has nothing to do with Donald Trump, necessarily Donald Trump being president, like the actual act of him being in the White House. Now, Charlie Kirk is a supporter of Donald Trump. Did that play a role? Yes. Donald Trump winning the election and Charlie Kirk being someone who helped him win, does that have something to do with it? Yes. But it's not because Donald Trump is president. We got to put this on Donald Trump's track record. Hey, Charlie Kirk died while you were president. No, that's nonsense. Because if we're going to play that game, Jay Rock, you got to take all the black people who died under Obama, you got to put that on his track record. And I haven't heard anybody do that. So this is, I would say nice try, but this is not even a nice try. You got to come with something better than this.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Miss Vicky said Ahmaud Arbery. Remember him? Yes, I do remember the Ahmaud Arbery situation. Monica says, I feel for both families and nobody wins is a tragedy. Yes, I agree. Because the kid did it. It's not his parents told him to do it. Amanda says, just found your page, loving the content so far. Thank you, Amanda. Tiffany Stout said, it shouldn't look good for him. He killed that young man. Are you serious? Who are you talking about, Tiffany? We mentioned like 5 different court cases here. Which one are you referring to? Amanda, thanks for the follow. Apple said, so how do you find those objective jurors? Well, you got a screening process for finding a jury. Any of you ever done jury duty before? I mean, the whole purpose of it is, or the process is, they call a bunch of random people. Then they ask you a few questions. And if you pass through the initial screening, then you move to the next level of screening. And then they look at every single juror. And then the defense and the prosecution has a chance to strike down some jurors. They say, no, I don't like this person. I don't like this. But you only get a certain number. So let's say you only get 5. So let's say you got to pick 12 jurors and there's 30 people in the pool. You can only strike out 5. It might be 50 people involved. You can only strike out 5. So if the first 5 you see, you don't like them, but the other side likes them, you might want to strike them because they might sound like they may lean a little bit more towards helping the other side than helping your side. But after you use all 5 of your strikes, you can't strike anybody else. So you got to be strategic about how you use it. And that's how you end up picking people. So there's a little bit of give, there's a little bit of take. Again, this is the reason why you don't want to end up on a trial. That's the whole point. You don't want to end up on trial because now your fate is in the hands of these random people who you don't know, and they might be biased one way or another for you or against you. You don't want to be in this situation. And you got to pay for all of this stuff. So that's the problem with all of this. That's why you don't want to be in court. Quayle said, does Luigi have a chance? He has a chance, yes, because this happened in New York, right? Happened in New York, and New York votes to the left. And this guy seems like he's on the left. Luigi, the shooter. He's the guy who shot the healthcare guy, the healthcare CEO. Like, what was that? Was that last year? It seemed like it was a long time ago. He's the guy who shot the healthcare CEO. New York is very left. This case is probably going to take place in New York. He has a chance because of that. But at the same time, this was a cold-blooded murder that's on camera. So at the same time, he's in trouble. And again, this is the reason why you don't want to be in court. Drug Money said the judge should only use law to make decisions. Well, the outcome of the case is going to be determined by the jurors. The judge has a lot of say in how the case gets played out. And the judge does use the law, but the judge is called a judge because they get to make judgment calls. So the whole point is they get to make judgment calls. If it's all about just using the law, then ChatGPT can run court. And you wouldn't need humans. Fancy said, I like your objectivity. Thank you. Carmi said, I already addressed that one. Shelly Rich, D. Colby, thanks for the follows. I can't read every single comment, folks. I can't shout out everybody. I'm trying to do as much as I can to get through all these comments, but there's a lot of them. Peace Child, Taylor Epperly, thank you for the follow. So somebody said, when I was talking about the device that could help somebody during a live stream, once you were throwing those out, Ashley said they had those already used for car rides and camping. Okay, I got to look it up. I'm kind of joking. I don't know if I need it. I don't know if it's that much of an important thing. The restroom is right next to my office, so I'm okay. Echo said bottle under the desk. No, I can't do that because I got on a suit, so you still got to undo your pants. All right, so Texas catheter. I don't know what that means. Adult diapers, no. Fairy Girls said just take a break. Right now, that's the best option. Is just take a break. So we'll see. Taylor said, do you have any information on Trey Reed? Is that the kid who they found hanging the other day? Not yet. All they said was that this kid, those you don't hear about it, is a school called Delta State in Mississippi. Some kid, it was two of them actually, got found hanging from a tree, dead. And people are saying they got found hanging from a tree, and then the authorities saying there's no evidence of foul play. Now, a lot of black people jumped up and said, person hanging from a tree, that has to be a lynching and it had to be done by a white person. I said, well, how do you know? So because somebody hanging from a tree doesn't mean a white person did it necessarily. Now, I get how people are making that connection, but you got to have you can't just make that claim and then say, well, we got to accept it just because you said it. And just because you know that back in the days, a black person would get hung from a tree by white people way back in the days. Now, all of a sudden, because it happened now, it had to have been a white person that did it to a black person. Well, you got to prove it. So right now, we have no other information other than what we've heard, Taylor Epperly. And that's all we can go off of until we get more information. If and when we get more information, I might talk about it on the live, but right now it's not enough to say. Jennifer Schultz, good morning. Tactile Bliss and ASMR. Kathy, thanks for the follows. Slit said fighter jet pilots have something like that. It leads to an external bladder. Okay, I might have to go talk to some fighter jet pilots and get that. Jennifer, thanks for the follow. Echo said, I'm on my way to change adult diapers. Shout out to people who change adult diapers. That's not a job I could do. Jen said either he did it or he knew who did it, and that's why he knew the details. Well, he beat the case. That's all we can go off of, Jen. And he's dead now, so how are we going to ever know? That's the issue. So a bunch of you are asserting that OJ did it. All right, fair enough. I'm not arguing against you. T. Swifty, thanks for the follow. Norma Cora, thanks for the follow. Shelly, thanks for the follow. Queen said, was he an abuser? Yes. That I can assert OJ Simpson was an abuser. Was OJ beating his wife before she broke up with him and got with the other guy? Yeah, OJ was beating her ass. That we know. Why? Because we got the police reports, you got the police calls, you got the recorded calls of Nicole calling the cops and saying OJ is beating my ass more than one time. And often, for what it's worth, a man who is beating his wife's ass ends up, well, we're not going to say that it happens every time, but when a man ends up killing a woman he was dating or married to or whatever, it was often preceded by him beating her ass. So for what is worth, all of you who are certain that OJ did it, I did just say that. Okay, that's on the record. Irma says, okay, Dre, don't mind waiting on your bathroom break. All right, for now, until we find a better option. Geneva Arrington, thanks for the follow. Apple user said the glove didn't fit. Yes, Johnny Cochran. If it doesn't fit, you must have quit. Barbara said they were concerned about riots. Yes, if OJ gotten found guilty, there would have been riots in LA. They would have burned Los Angeles to the ground. Miss Vicky, I responded to the Ahmaud Arbery thing. Yes. Jesse says, so it's okay he murdered someone innocent because someone else got beaten. Jesse, this is a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
That's not what I said. Straw man is use the word so. You're about to rephrase my point into something that I didn't say, and then you're going to turn it into something that is easier for you to argue against. That is the definition of the straw man argument. I didn't say it's okay. I also didn't say he did it. And I also didn't say that it's okay because someone else got beaten. I said it was reparation optically and politically and publicly because the public had a real issue with what happened to Rodney King. So the OJ thing was kind of a payoff, metaphorically speaking, for what happened to Rodney King. I'm not saying they were like, all right, well, since Rodney King's guys got off, we got to let OJ get off. I'm not saying somebody literally said that. I'm saying optically these things matter. And I think I explained that pretty clear. I think I'm pretty good at articulating my position. So, Jesse, don't do this.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Trayvon said Kirk was constantly speaking negatively about George Floyd. Well, first of all, George Floyd, what did George Floyd do that will cause anybody to speak positively about him? What did he do? Tell me something George Floyd did on purpose to better society. The answer is nobody can answer the question because he didn't do anything. Nobody knew who George Floyd was or cared who he was until he was a dead body, and you could blame white cops, and white people can claim that you're being an ally for black people by talking about it, and black people can claim, well, this is another proof of racism. But nobody gave a damn about George Floyd until he was dead. So anybody claiming any type of moral authority or righteous indignation about George Floyd, and anybody speaking negatively about the life of George Floyd, I'm not hearing it, because again, who was talking about him when he was alive, and what did he do when he was alive to help society? The answer is he did absolutely nothing. I say that as a black man.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
That does not mean that it was justified for him to lose his life for any reason other than if he was threatening somebody else's life. But somebody can talk negatively about the life that he lived, because when he was living life, he was not a positively contributing member of society. He was not. Look at his track record. He was not a positively contributing member of society. So there shouldn't be a statue or a memorial for the man, because what did he do? If you're going to get a statue or memorial, that means you have to have been doing something on purpose to positively impact other people. He was not doing that. Now, again, that doesn't mean he deserved to die, but also doesn't mean he should be lionized. So that's where I stand on George Floyd. The problem a lot of people have with the George Floyd situation is because it was so emotionally triggering, people want to jump on one side or the other, and you got to be all the way over here or all the way over there. I'm not all the way on either side. I'm right in the middle. Should he have passed away in that situation that way? No. Does that necessarily mean the cop was wrong? If you look into the details of that case, there's a lot that can be said about that, because what actually happened, the main crux of why George Floyd didn't survive that day, is because the ambulance got called and they went to the wrong place. The ambulance got called and it was either the wrong ambulance went to the wrong ambulance, whatever they call it, the place where the ambulance trucks stay. The place where they were called from was the wrong location. So it took them longer to come get him, because when Derek Chauvin was kneeling on George Floyd's body, George Floyd was still alive. Had the ambulance arrived on time, as they were supposed to, they would have got him in a damn truck and they would have saved his life. But because they took so long, that's how he ended up passing away. So it wasn't really because of Derek Chauvin. It's because the ambulance took too long to get there. And that's what Derek Chauvin, he has a whole lot of things that he could say to mitigate what happened with him. But optically, that's the reason why he's in jail, because of how it looked. So when it comes to George Floyd, you don't have to be all the way on one side or all the way on the other side. But most people are so emotionally engaged that they have to pick one side or the other. I am objective enough that I don't need to do that.
Emotional, damn it.
Mimi said, yes, I agree. I watched the trial. Which trial are we talking about? Tara said, most straw men is projecting of their own feelings. This is true. That is correct. David Brooks, thanks for the follow. Kay said, are you live on multiple platforms or not seeing all the comments? Well, that's kind of a false binary. I am live on multiple platforms. Yes. Are you not seeing all the comments? No, you're not seeing all the comments, because I can't even see all the comments. I'm only reading the ones that I can see, and I'm looking at comments on other platforms at the same time. And Hey Turnkey said, first time seeing Dre come across his channel. Love all the content so far. Well, thank you, Hey Turnkey. Immortal Dragon said, will Trump give Kamala her Secret Service security back? Hell no, that ain't happening. And Kay, I'm also picking and choosing with the comments. I'm not reading every single comment because there are too many. I can't read them all. And also, I'm reading from oldest to newest. So I'm not reading the comments as they come in. I'm reading them from the oldest ones, and I'm scrolling down. Rory said, had a call come through that I had to take. I'm just reading comments right now and responding to stuff. And they're coming in so fast. Sometimes I get almost to the bottom of the list, and then a whole new set comes in. Allison said, people will use any excuse to fit with their narrative. Yes, also known as rationalization, which is a common part of human nature. Josie said, I personally think, in my opinion, his parents should be charged too. No, you can't do that, Josie. Not unless they were involved in helping him do it or plan it. Why would they be charged? Do you have kids, Josie? If your kids go out and do something crazy, why would you be charged? I can't agree with that. Mary said, I do believe that all the evil comments after he passed does have to do with him supporting Trump. Well, of course it does, Mary. Yes, all the evil comments after him are, of course, because he supports Trump. And people used to be able to get away with that. I talked about this yesterday. You can't get away with it right now, though. That's why people are getting fired. Sherry said, I wake up listening to you every morning. That's amazing. Thank you. Peggy says, hey, you just come up on my FYP. Glad to find you. How many of you found me on the For You page here today? Put FYP in the comments if you found me on the For You page. Shout out to the TikTok For You page. Me and TikTok are in a good space right now. For the last 3 months, I have not gotten suspended at all. I barely gotten any mornings. So we're doing good with TikTok right now. Peggy Nicholson, Ashley Chayasan, thank you for the follows. I actually got more followers on TikTok now than I have on Instagram. And I only been using TikTok actively for a year. I've been using Instagram for like 10 years. So I already passed Instagram with TikTok following. And it just goes to show, and I tell creators this all the time, that different platforms, you get different responses, even if it's the exact same material. I'm live on Instagram right now, and I'm live on TikTok right now, and I just get way more on TikTok than I get on Instagram, even though it's the exact same material. Quails, you asked that same question about Luigi like 10 times. I answered it already. You only got to post your comment one time, folks. I see it. Lydia and Tracy, thank you for the follow and the share, respectively. Casey said, that's crazy. He even has a chance after doing that to someone. Well, everybody has a chance because we got a legal system here, Casey. Texas Mama says, always take the sentencing by the judge because the jury or 12 of your peers usually will not end well for you. It depends, Texas. I mean, look at OJ. I think it's a matter of him trying to avoid the death penalty. Well, yes, that's basically his game right now is to not get that death penalty. BL Jesus said, I'm from New York. We don't let killers go free. All right, we'll see. We'll see. Jessica said, saw something that the other kid hung was white. Yeah, we don't have all the information yet. So that's why I haven't even talked about that yet. Renisha Williams, Justin, CDs, trucks, thanks for the follows. Polly said, my thought at the time was if he did not do it, why would he not go after who did? Who are you talking about? Karen Quinn says, some jurors that were interviewed about the OJ said they knew he was guilty. Right, but we also got to remember, Karen, that when you're on a jury, your job is not to determine if someone's innocent or guilty. Your job is to rule based on the charges that you're supposed to be ruling on, which is not always just straight up innocence or guilt. It's based on the arguments made by the prosecution and the defense. And even if you think OJ is guilty, but the prosecution's case is no good, you must acquit. As Johnny Cochran said, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. One of the hardest lines said in a courtroom in the last 50 years was Johnny Cochran saying that. And it perfectly encapsulated the case. BL Jesus said, how about the presented a terrible case and got out lawyered? Yes, that's pretty much how people lose cases. If the other lawyer is just better than you, you can lose a case. Even if you have a winning case, you can lose. Karen said, George Floyd stabbed the pregnant woman. He didn't stab her. What he did was he stuck a gun at her stomach during a home invasion. He didn't stab the woman. But he did do time for that case. Chelsea, thanks for the follow. Apple user said, doesn't matter what George Floyd did before. What matters is what the cops did to him, period. Not necessarily. That's a non sequitur.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Because a lot of what got argued in that case, Apple user, was about were there other factors that played a role in his death besides what the cops did? And a lot of it, a good amount of it was struck down in court, either by the judge or by the prosecution. But the prosecution, this was a layup for them. I think that case against Derek Chauvin was a complete layup. You wouldn't even have to be a lawyer to win that case if you were the prosecution going against Derek Chauvin. I don't think it was that tough of a case for them. Apple said, I didn't know about the ambulance. It's in the documentary called The Fall of Minneapolis. It's on YouTube and it's free. Y'all should all watch that. It's called The Fall of Minneapolis. And in that, I forget the woman who created the documentary, but I heard her being interviewed a couple times. There were several things that went wrong that day in Minneapolis. One of the most important ones was the ambulance was late to come get the guy. Because as soon as they put him on the ground, there's a procedure for that. If there's a person having some type of medical episode while they're being arrested, you're supposed to put them on the ground and just keep them contained. And then you call the ambulance. They called the ambulance. The ambulance went the wrong way, or the wrong ambulance got dispatched. So the ambulance is like a mile away, didn't get called, but the ambulance is 3 miles away. They got called and it took too long. And by the time they got there, George Floyd was already in bad shape. And by the time they put him in the truck, he was damn near dead already. So it was a failure on several levels by the entire Minneapolis public service department. All of them failed that day, but they blamed it all on the one cop. That's the problem that I have with the situation. The one guy ends up being the fall guy for the whole situation when it wasn't really his fault what happened to George Floyd. There was a whole lot of other people's faults. But nobody wants to talk about that because, again, the optics of it was just this cop on this black man. R. Philly said, why would he need an ambulance if the cops did nothing wrong? R. Philly, is that a serious question?
Strawberry cheesecake.
R. Philly, what if you took some narcotics, some pharmaceuticals, and your body had a negative reaction to it? Do the cops have to do something wrong for you to need an ambulance? People get in an ambulance all the time. The cops don't do anything wrong. Ambulances roll in and out of nursing homes all day, every day. The cops don't have to, you don't even have to be involved with the cops to need an ambulance. So George Floyd took something. It was clear, there were clearly narcotics in his system. That was shown in the toxicology report. So if you're taking narcotics and you already have a history of medical issues, which George Floyd did, again, the cops don't have to do something wrong for you to need an ambulance. Rory, thanks for the follow. Murphy the Mutt said, you're the man. Thank you. Southern accent said he didn't live with the parents, he lived with his boyfriend. Yes, that's true. And even then, the parents aren't responsible for what the kids do once your kids leave the house, even if they're in the house. Unless you actually had something to do with it, that's a whole different situation. If you have nothing to do with it, then no, you don't get charged with that. Jazzy Webb and Desiree, thanks for the follow. Christy said, oh, FYP last week. Shout out to TikTok. Shout out to TikTok. Put me on the FYP page. CH84 said OJ had wealth privilege. Well, yes, he was famous. He had money, and he had really good lawyers. The most important things, OJ had really good lawyers, and he was black. Actually, those are two things going for him in that situation. Now, that's not always a good thing, but in that case, him being black in LA at that time and having good lawyers is why OJ won. We got 10 minutes here, folks, and we are absolutely wrapping up in 10 minutes. Nana said the prosecutors did not do a good enough job in OJ's case. Well, they had a losing case on their hands. That was a losing case. It was a losing case because of what I just said. The temperature of LA at that time, the history of race relations between the cops and civilians at that time, especially black people at that time, OJ being a black guy, a famous black guy, with a woman who most people didn't know who she was. That was a losing case for the prosecution. And they were going up against some of the best lawyers in the country, all in their prime. Johnny Cochran, F. Lee Bailey, Robert Shapiro, Alan Dershowitz, and there was one other person I'm forgetting. But that was just a great legal team. I mean, that's maybe the best legal team you've ever seen. You know, basketball, they had the dream team with Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson. That was the dream team. That team right there was the dream team. Any of you go to court for your life, those are the lawyers you want. Unfortunately, Robert Shapiro, Johnny Cochran already did. So y'all got to replace them with somebody. R. Philly said the Diddy sentences are coming up soon. Yeah, it is. October is about 3 weeks away. Early October. Jen said you came across the FYP. Listening to you is enjoyable, educational, and entertaining. New follower. Thank you, Jen. Josh Ease, number 1, said thank you for speaking truth. You're welcome. Casey, thanks for the follow. Justin, Sunshine, thanks for the follow. MGD said black, rich, and famous. Yes. And in LA in the mid-90s after the Rodney King case. Don't forget about that part. You can be black, rich, and famous and still go to jail. All right, let's be clear. Diddy's in jail. All right, so let's be clear. It ain't just black, rich, and famous. The timing matters. The case matters. Everything matters. Wifey Tip said, thanks for all the tappers help push out the FYP page. Yes. And OJ was loved by so many. Yes, he was a famous athlete who played in LA. F. Lee Bailey. Yes. Amy, thanks for the follow. Yes, Rob Kardashian. Didn't I say Rob Kardashian? What was the 5 attorneys? Rob Kardashian, Johnny Cochran, Alan Dershowitz, F. Lee Bailey, and there was one more person. I'm forgetting the other person. There's one more name I'm forgetting. Rob Kardashian, Johnny Cochran, F. Lee Bailey, Alan Dershowitz, and there was one more person on OJ's team. I gotta find out who it was. Who were the lawyers on OJ Simpson's team when he was on trial for murder in the mid-90s? I'm thinking it was 5 people, but I'm only remembering Cochran, F. Lee Bailey, Dershowitz, Shapiro, and who else? All right, so some of y'all saying Shapiro. I said Shapiro. Didn't I say Shapiro?
Go ahead.
For some reason, Grok starts going into this listener mode when I'm not even asking. No, so it was 4 people. And then the other guy was a guy named Barry Sheck. I never heard of Barry Sheck. So those are the 4.
Barry Sheck, not Sheck.
Okay. For some reason, it's going in the listen. Just give me the names of the 5 lawyers. Okay, I'm really not liking Grok now. Just give me the names of the 5 lawyers. Okay, so the 5 lawyers were no, it was 6 lawyers. So Barry Scheck was named. So I guess I kept skipping the name. Cochran, Bailey, Shapiro, Dershowitz, Kardashian. Okay, that's the 5. So some reason Grok goes into listener mode. I didn't even tell it to go into listening mode. So the dream team was Johnny Cochran, F. Lee Bailey, Rob Shapiro, Alan Dershowitz, and Rob Kardashian. So it was 2 Robs. Dershowitz is still alive. He's on YouTube. Dershowitz is pretty good. Y'all want to learn how the law works and listen to how lawyers break things down in detail. Dershowitz is pretty good. Johnny Cochran's dead. Rob Kardashian is dead. Rob Shapiro, I don't know where he is. He's still alive. F. Lee Bailey, I believe, is still alive, but he's older now. All these guys are older now. So those are the 5. Barbara said they try to put a glove on top of a rubber glove. Where is the common sense? Well, on the side of Johnny Cochran, that was the common sense. Shout out to Johnny Cochran. That was just good lawyer work. That was great legal work by Johnny Cochran. That's what it was. That was a legal dream team. So again, any of you get on trial for your life, these are the 5 lawyers you want. The problem is, F. Lee Bailey's dead? Yeah. Uh-oh. So hopefully none of y'all go on trial for your life because these are lawyers you need, and half of them are dead already. What are these 5 lawyers doing these days? So we already know what happened. Well, if F. Lee Bailey's dead, then we're only asking about 2 people. Dershowitz I know about because I see him. He's still actually kind of active. Dershowitz still does cases, I think. Only one we're thinking about is Rob Shapiro. Where's Rob Shapiro now? Is he still alive? I know Rob Kardashian's dead. That one we know about. It was Rob Kardashian. We knew about him being dead when the Kardashian TV show came out, and Bruce, now Caitlyn, was on the show saying that he was already dating Kris Jenner, and he went to the bedside of Rob Kardashian when Rob was about to die and told Rob, because they had a gentleman's relationship, that, yeah, I'm dating your ex now. I'm going to take care of your girls. And the girls became Kim Kardashian, Kourtney Kardashian, and Khloe Kardashian. Then he had kids of his own. Caitlyn, what's the girl's name? Whatever their names are. Kylie Jenner, and what's the other one's name? Whatever their names are, whatever. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Those people. And now Bruce became Caitlyn. Shapiro is still alive. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. What is Rob Shapiro doing? Now I'm just typing in because I don't want Rock listening to me. So Rob Shapiro remains active. Oh, he's still out there. He's 83 years old and still doing stuff. He's a senior partner at some law firm in LA. He does philanthropy. He still writes, and he still does business. Oh, he co-founded LegalZoom. Okay, that's what Rob Shapiro did. So Rob Shapiro started LegalZoom. Yeah, Kendall Jenner, whatever their names are. These white girls all look the same to me. So Rob Shapiro started LegalZoom. I do know about that. Alan Dershowitz, he's still active. I hear him I heard him on Megyn Kelly a couple times not too long ago. So that's the situation. That's what they're doing. So everybody, you want to get in my texting community, my number, 305-384-6894. Text the word live, 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 to my number, 305-384-6894. I'm going to show y'all an insight of what my text community looks like right now. 305-384-6894, 305-384-6894. These are all people in my texting community. Moderators who are in here. Y'all can mute people for the day. We don't have to block anybody. You can mute people for the day if they're in here talking crazy. But you don't have to mute people if they're disagreeing. They're allowed to disagree. Okay? So any of you see somebody disagreeing, it's okay to disagree. Do not mute disagreements. The disagreements are actually good because that's when I can use my soundboard. Because if nobody's disagreeing, I don't need the soundboard. Do not mute people for disagreeing. Now, if somebody is spamming, then you mute them. And if they're trolling, then mute them. But if they're disagreeing, do not mute them. Let them talk. All right, we want the disagreements to talk because then I get to defend my positions because somebody has a right to disagree. So moderators, don't be quick on the trigger when it comes to muting people or kicking people out. Let them talk. If they're really talking crazy, then it can be muted, or in extreme cases, they can be blocked. But often I'll tell you all if it's somebody that really needs to go or somebody's trolling, then just mute them. But don't kick anybody out or mute them at all if they're just disagreeing. We want to let them talk. So the number again, 305-384-6894. That's where you can text me. Text the word live, LIVE. You can get into my texting community. And I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. We go to 10 a.m. Eastern. It's 9:58 right now, so we're going to wrap this one up. Make sure y'all follow me on TikTok. If you text me the word live, I'm going to send you a link to where you can get more information about my books. My book, The Third Day, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. The book's free. Just cover the shipping. Just go to thirddaybook.com, thirddaybook.com. This book is all about how you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it, even on the days that you don't feel like working. How do you show up and deliver? This book right here is all about that. If you're a professional at what you do, I guarantee you that you have days like this. You probably didn't have a name for those days. You didn't have a label for it. I put a label on it. It's called The Third Day. How do you show up and deliver on those days? Again, the decision that separates the pros from the amateurs is the third day. Get this book free by going to thirddaybook.com. You don't have to remember that link. All you got to do is text me at my number, 305-384-6894. Text the word live, LIVE. Just the word live. Don't text anything else. Just the word live, LIVE. We will send you a link to a page that has links to all of this stuff, including this book, my book, The Mirror of Motivation, my book, The Sales Discipline System, which is up there, my coaching programs, how to get on my email list, my YouTube channel links. Everything's on that page. Just text the word live, LIVE, 305-384-6894. Milton Estrada said, do you still play basketball occasionally? No, I play basketball not at all anymore. But I used to play basketball. So shout out to the people who know me from playing basketball back in the day. We're at 10 o'clock, everybody. I told you we're wrapping this up on time today. We're not going overtime. Thank you, everybody who's been overtime the last couple of days. We went super long the last 3 or 4 days, but now we're getting back to our normal process, starting at 8, ending at 10. I will see everybody tomorrow morning. Topic to be determined. Text me. You got any questions for me? Yes, I do respond to my text messages. My assistant's email address is on that page. Again, text me the word live, 305-384-6894. That number's in my bio, by the way. So if you didn't catch that number, just go to my bio on TikTok. You'll see the phone number in there. Just text me that number with the word live. We got you from there. I'll see everybody tomorrow morning. Work on your game. We are out of here.